following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
This is Talkin' Cowboys. Streaming live from the Dallas Cowboys World Headquarters at the Star in Frisco.
Handoff, Elliott plowing to the goal line. Barry, sacked by Lord. Prescott keeps it, and he bangs it in for the touchdown.
Here are Mickey Spagnola, Brian Broaddus, Rob Phillips, and Bill Jones.
And welcome into Talkin' Cowboys live from Ford Center at the Star in Frisco, the second of 5 scheduled open practices for the Cowboys back in Texas. Rob Phillips, Mickey Spagnola to my right, Brian Broaddus over there. Bill Jones may be joining us a little bit later. We'll see. Had a prior commitment, and but we got plenty to keep us busy over the next 45 minutes or so.
You think?
As the Cowboys take the field, getting warmed up for another practice back home and getting set for their third preseason game Saturday night against the Houston Texans. How we doing, guys?
Good.
Ready to roll.
Ready to roll.
Broke us in yesterday, right? This is like
good spot. We're
regular
good spot.
season.
Yeah. Watch the
things happen.
Get to watch the practice. You know what's funny? I was kind of busting on the other show. We get to watch individual and stretching and stuff like that, and so little stuff, those kind of things.
They get the good stuff?
They get the team period, the blitz period, and all that. So
this is a unique drill we're watching right now, though.
Yeah, it is.
You don't get this every day.
No, you don't, and that's what it's that working those feet. Mickey always talks about those offensive linemen
That's
that
right.
have slow feet. Try and get those feet a little faster out there.
Remember
right
when we were trying to get Sydney to give them dance lessons to improve their feet?
Improve the feet, for sure.
All right, there is plenty to get into from a practice standpoint, and we're going to talk about the roster, what we're seeing out here as well. But we got to start with some big news that went down yesterday, late yesterday. Jaylon Smith, he was the mystery man, fellas.
They said they were working on 6 contracts, and now we know which one was part of the 6.
Jerry Jones dropped the hint last week. It may be a guy that you're not thinking about from the quote-unquote Big 3, and it turned out to be the, third-year linebacker, fourth-year linebacker, however you want to say it. A major comeback, a major success story for him. 5-year extension, $64 million per Stephen Jones, with over $35 million guaranteed.
You know, but I think we've been pretty consistent on this show talking about these contracts and been telling you that if players are willing to come in and work with them, their door has always been open. They're willing to make deals with agents. They're willing to make deals with players. You know, and give Jaylon Smith a lot of credit. He saw an opportunity here where things looked a little stagnant for the other 3, and there's still money to be had there, and there's still a lot of money to be had there. And the fact that he went in there and made a deal, that's what they've been really consistent about. It's not like they've said, hey, we've stopped dealing with these agents, or our doors are open. If you want to come in, make a deal, we'll work with you. And I think this is one of those cases where Jaylon Smith saw an opportunity to maybe take advantage of the other 3 contracts and some of the things that haven't been done so far with those contracts. His group got on board, started pushing through. Outstanding players. We've heard of all the things that the owner was talking about, the general manager was talking about with him, and they're all true. But I think he took advantage of 3 guys, and I mean this in a nice way, that they're not moving on their contracts. They're not taking the same approach, and I think that's where Jaylon Smith did some good.
So here was the thing that I've been pointing out about all these things. Everybody's under contract, right? They all know what they're going to make. If they want to make more ahead of when they need to make it, then go ahead and work out a deal. That's what Jaylon Smith did.
Get in the door early.
His base salary this year was supposed to be $1.33 million, right? And they could have put him as a restricted free agent next year, and he would have, if they even tendered him at the first-round pick, it would have been somewhere between $4.4 and $4.8 million. But now that he signed this deal, he got a $5 million signing bonus. So instead of making $1.3 million this year in cash, he's going to end up making over $6 million if you include his base salary for this year, plus the $5 million signing bonus. And then he's got guarantees with roster bonuses. So all of a sudden, I'm making more money now, and I just got a check for $5 million that I wouldn't have gotten probably until 2021. So, yeah, and the other guys, they have the same opportunity right now on the table if they take their signing bonus earlier than what they need to get it. If you look at Zeke, they could make him wait till 3 years to get a new contract because they have control of him for this year, next year, and then really the next year after that, they could franchise him. Well, Dak's in the same boat.
Oh, yeah.
All right, they have him under deal for this year, and they could franchise him next year. So, again, Jaylon Smith took an opportunity to put money in the bank sooner than it possibly would have come to him. And I think he said it. What did he say? I was going to retire my mother basically next year, right?
Right.
Now I can retire her right now.
Good for her.
And she was at the press conference. It was,
Yes.
it was a great scene there. To your point, Mick, and Jerry talked about it. There's less pie left to get at for some of these other stars that want new deals. Stephen Jones has referenced a distribution dilemma. We've talked about that, trying to fit it all under the cap. And Jerry had a good answer in the walk-off after the press conference about fitting all these deals under the cap. Let's go to that cut right now if we can, Caden.
Move that we are talking about today, a real team move. The team takes precedent.
Are you confident that the other
And I've got the backbone to keep keep it that way. Well, I have never equivocated on Zeke's the quality of player he is and his importance to us, and so I don't equivocate on that at all. But the team takes precedent over, and that is my judgment. The team takes precedent at a point over the opinion or the demand of the individual. The team takes precedent. This was a team move that we are talking about today, a real team move. The team takes precedent.
Are you confident that the other
And I've got the backbone to keep it that way. Well, I have never equivocated on
Jerry
Zeke's
Jones emphasize
the quality of
the
player
team
he is
takes
and his
precedent.
importance to us.
And that's what they're
And,
trying to way, meaning I'm not giving up, and I want all these guys on my team and maybe some other guys that we haven't thought of. Maybe L.C. Collins, maybe Malik Collins. He would like to get guys like that. Anthony Brown under contract. They're all up next year, so you got to think ahead. And the key thing about what happened this year, and, we've heard the now infamous quote about pie, less pie, and all that, but the bottom line on what they've done with Jaylon Smith, his cap hit for this year only goes up $500,000. $500,000. That's all it goes up. So it's not like, we just, spent all this money on him. Now, next year and the year after is a different story when his base salary goes up considerably. But for this year, they did not deplete their cap space to the point where it would be hard to sign these other guys, or they would have to take less money. So what he did is what he said. We're making the team the precedent, and that I like the way he started. I have never equivocated on Zeke's talent. He's not trying to minimize what Zeke means to this team.
Yeah, I think that's all along they've talked about it being a business, and if you're Jerry Jones is absolutely right. If he were to cave on a contract, Yeah, and maybe Jerry Jones back in the day might have thought a little differently about contracts, but with Steven's hand on the wheel with those contracts, he understands now that, hey, I only got so much money to play with right now, and I can't put Steven or Adam Pacifica or Todd Williams in a bad spot. I can't put my team in a bad spot. So as long as this team continues to draft well, these contracts are always going to come up. But they've got to make sure that they cover all their bases. If they, like I say, drafting well means good players. And good players need to be paid. And you have to make sure you can't sit there and say, okay, every draft we're only going to be able to keep 1 or 2 guys.
Right.
If you got to try and keep 4 or 5 guys. That's the whole plan right there. Because there's a reason why as we go into this regular season that we talk about this roster being young and having depth to it. It's because they've drafted well. But again, that's what you have to do. You have to be able to take care of those players so you can have them long term and then also keep supplementing that every year.
A large chunk of this roster could look very different next year. Because you have a lot of young guys that are nearing the end of their deals, or some other veterans that you've signed. You signed Randall Cobb for 1 year. You got Robert Quinn for 1 year. So it kind of feels like an all-in season. One question about Jaylon Smith, Brian, because your evaluation of it was such a tough evaluation in 2016 coming off the injury, and now you're seeing what he can be with a couple years in the league now healthy. How good do you think he can be?
Well, clearly, and I'll be really honest, I think I've been very honest about this throughout. I did not think they should have drafted Jaylon Smith. That's just me personally. I felt like in talking to some people, the medical stuff, there was a lot of unknown about that nerve regenerating and refiring and all that. The drop foot, it was all very documented about him. But good for him. Congratulations on his deal, though. When you watch him play, though, and I got a chance to sit down with him and do a little film room study with him, and you saw what he's capable of doing. That 4th down play in Houston last year, and that's just one play of many with that burst, the explosiveness, the way he tackles, the way he finishes. There's so many things about him. And, yeah, the leadership part of all that stuff, great. But if you look at him on the field, this guy has some rare traits when it comes to playing as a linebacker. Again, you got to run to the football, and you got to be able to finish, and you got to make yourself be a big player out there. And he has done that. He's only made 22 starts. But every one of those starts, he's improved his game each time he's been out there.
And I think the thing, Brian, that stood out to me in training camp this year with him, and I don't know, maybe it's just my perception. I thought they were blitzing the linebackers a lot more than maybe they had previously. But it was how violent he was blitzing.
Right.
And it was just the speed and how hard. I mean, look, they're not tackling, right? They're going basically 3/4 speed. But he would just violently go in there, and it's like, man, if I was a linebacker and had to stand up for that, I'd check out.
Yeah,
it's like, get somebody else in.
No, that's the thing with Jaylon Smith, though, is the violence that you mentioned, Mickey, that what he plays with, though. I think to me that what's been really so impressive about him as the blitzer, though, the violence we talked about, but the fact that he's able to help other guys get home. There's been times in the training camp practices where, okay, maybe, we've seen Sean Lee in the past go in and help and then get to the ball. Jaylon Smith has the ability to take blockers with him. I mean, he took one time Lyle Collins and Zach Martin, they were shoulder to shoulder, and took them back into the quarterback and then allowed the rusher to go around on the loop. And so, that's, Mickey talks about that violence, that power, that aggressiveness. Those are the things like when you're going to run a lot of games with him, because he has that ability to attack the pocket, affect blocking schemes, and get other guys home. That's a great trait to have.
We should put out for the folks that are watching us streaming the practice, what's going on right now is it's kind of a team walkthrough before the practice actually starts. So
right.
What they're doing right now in team is what they're going to really do later on in the practice at full speed. They're not going full speed, as hopefully you can tell. They're not even touching up or hitting or anything. So this is just kind of a pre-practice deal that Jason Garrett likes to kind of rehearse what we're going to do and then do it at full speed later in the practice.
Hey, look at Jason Garrett's face right now. There's a little intensity going on right
but
there.
he's coaching full speed,
He is
right?
coaching full speed right there. Yeah, and then again, that was some young guys on the field right there.
Yep.
That's about, hey, guys, we got to do this a little bit better, a little bit, the routes, the blocking, whatever you have to. Again, we're getting a nice look there of Mike White in the pocket right there. Jordan Chun coming underneath you. Ball going to go out to Jordan. Oh, it actually goes out to Jalen Guyton there. So, yeah, I mean, that's what they like to do. Run some plays, get them going, and then we'll see those later on in the practice.
And we saw some younger guys getting some more reps yesterday. Donovan Wilson, the rookie safety, running with the first-team defense, with Jeff Heath being a little limited coming off of a stinger.
And even George Iloka got a couple first-team reps, but I see in this portion that we just saw Heath was back with the first team.
Yeah.
He had developed a stinger. Chris Covington, a little bit of a stinger.
Yeah, stinger and like a neck muscle strain is kind of what I was hearing there on his injury. I initially thought, guys, at the game when they were working on him, it was the collarbone, but he was really pointing more where your collarbone, right above that muscle in that area. So hopefully he will get back more sooner than later. They've got some good competition at linebacker right now, and that's where I think that a lot of the focus in these next two games, and these games are going to come fast. You have a Saturday game and a Thursday game, and that Thursday game is going to be all young guys out there playing. And we've seen in the past that guys have played themselves off the roster in that last preseason game. So guys like Justin Phillips, who's played very well, Devin Smith, who's played very well, those guys got to keep the momentum going because they are doing a great job of being one of the 53 on this roster.
So they're getting ready for their little bit of running and then
stretching.
Yeah. And they quieted down. I didn't know if we were going to have a national anthem or if they already done that once or whatever.
Yeah.
And then another guy with a stinger yesterday, Cody McElroy, the tight end.
Right.
And so if you combine that with Jalen or with
Dalton Schultz,
Blake Jarwin, they basically had two tight ends going the rest of practice. It was Jason Witten and Marcus Lucas, and they got to the point where to give those guys a break, Taron Christian, the quarterback that they signed as the fourth quarterback, who's played in any place they needed him, right? He's kind of like the Rangers' kind of Falefa, or however you say it.
Falafa.
Yeah. Whatever they need him to play in the infield, the kid plays. Well, this guy, so he lined up at tight end a little bit yesterday, too, to
by the way,
help out.
He's number 5. He got some quarterback reps.
He did.
Splitting with the third team yesterday, which, Mike White has struggled in the first 2 games. Maybe it's more of an opportunity. Maybe he gets a little bit of a look as they finish out these final
Well,
two
what they
games.
might be thinking is the fact that if they only decide to keep 2 quarterbacks and somebody decides to pick up Mike White, we need a third to help out with the practice squad, and maybe they're saying, okay, let's see what this guy can do.
All right, it's almost stretching time. That's a good time to go to break. When we come back, let's talk about things that we saw from practice yesterday, talk about some of these position battles coming up, and what we're seeing out here at practice today, live from the Star in Frisco. Next.
Your new apartment's big. Such a great deal.
It's okay.
Just okay? What's not to...
Right above the subway!
Well, I bet you don't even notice it after the...
That's my neighbor, Angus.
A deal that's just okay is not okay. Get a great deal with America's Best Network. Come into an AT&T store and learn how to buy one smartphone and get a second one on us. Based on GWS 1 score, September 2018.
Star Sports Tours is the only official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, offering exclusive game weekend travel packages with sideline access and photo ops with current players, alumni, and cheerleaders. That's not all, though. You'll get to talk X's and O's with Senior Director of Player Personnel Will McClay, and of course with yours truly, me, Brian Broaddus. You can trust the official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, and with us, you'll travel like a pro. Visit cowboystravel.com to book your travel package today.
Work the Cowboys way and channel the winning business tradition of the Dallas Cowboys and the Jones family at Formation. This dynamic workspace provides an elevated work experience on the Star's aspirational campus with exclusive membership options available to meet varying needs. Choose from open workspaces, dedicated desks, and private offices to leverage our home field advantage for your individual business success. Limited memberships are available now, so apply today at formation@thestar.com.
A man's Stetson doesn't just protect him from life's elements. It projects an unstoppable and legendary spirit, just like the men wearing silver and navy on the field every Sunday. Since 1865, Stetson hats are American-made with pride right here in Texas. They are still the official crown of all self-respecting Cowboys. And Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Find Stetson hats in the Pro Shop or at Stetson.com today.
Back to Talkin' Cowboys.
Welcome back to Ford Center at the Star in Frisco. Rob Phillips, Mickey Spagnola, Brian Broaddus covering some practice. Second open practice over the next week. Fans, come on out. Check out America's team. And we covered Jaylon Smith. We covered some things we saw yesterday a little bit. I don't know if we covered all the injuries. I don't know if we have time to cover all the injuries on this roster right now. There's a lot of guys dealing with some things, but there's some notable guys that have come back. We saw DeMarcus Lawrence back on the field yesterday, Tyrone Crawford back, so their prospects for week one look good. But there's other guys, and Amari Cooper being one of them, who's still not back at practice yet, Mick.
Yeah, and Jason Garrett said that he's probably not going to play in any of the next two preseason games. The object is to get him ready to go for the season opener. And look, he hasn't practiced yet this week, so if you just use common sense, he's not playing Saturday, which is kind of the quote-unquote dress rehearsal. And then the next game, as Brian said, comes fast. They're only going to have two practices before they have to play on Thursday. So the idea is get him enough rest for that heel injury that he has to be ready to go for the season opener. Now, he talked about it yesterday, felt like he's played through a lot of foot injuries, and he's ready to go again. But I'm going to reiterate what I told you last week. He does not have a torn plantar fasciitis. When he talked about it yesterday, he said, look, it's like a torn plantar fasciitis that I was able to play through a couple years ago. It's a different injury. The plantar fasciitis is in your instep. This is in his heel. And Jason Garrett sort of clarified that to the people that misinterpreted what Amari Cooper was saying yesterday. He basically said, yeah, it's something like that, but not quite that injury. And when I talked to the trainers, they said, no, it is not that. And I got an explanation, and I would have needed a medical degree to diagnose what they were telling me. So
that's good news, because that injury that he doesn't have,
yes,
it can be pretty serious, can be pretty difficult to work through, especially if you're a wide receiver and you're running as much as that position does.
Well, as Jason explained, you mentioned Brandon Knight back in practice,
right?
And that's what he has, and Jason said he had it. And he goes, it's the worst injury you can have. He goes, and then when you tear it, it feels better.
Yeah.
He said, so maybe Brandon Knight goes out there, puts his foot in the ground, and goes, that feels a lot better.
Right.
So we'll see how that one turns out. I think Brandon Knight was headed towards the practice squad anyway, right?
Well, I was just thinking about depth and what's going on.
To get through the next two games.
Because let's be honest about the games that we've last two, the 49er game and the Rams game. Those veteran guards, centers that play, they've earned their letter jackets. You know, they played 70 snaps, 60 snaps. You know, so yeah, why not? You know, Brandon Knight was a guy that they moved from tackle to guard. And so, yeah, I was anxious. I mean, I saw him do some good things out in Oxnard, and then he got hurt, and I was like, that's a shame. You know, it's much like Connor McGovern. You know, you want to see those guys out there, the young guys out there playing and practicing. So if anything, though, with Knight being back, that will at least alleviate some of the problems. So he'll get some reps in this game, but then likely probably play the whole game against Tampa Bay on Thursday. So that's important. You need some rotation there, especially to finish out the preseason the way they need to.
Rob, you mentioned other guys that had returned. Sean Lee. So, by the way, Lawrence and Crawford not going to practice today. They're going to ease them back in day by day and decide if they're practicing. Sean Lee also was supposed to do a little something yesterday. Well, he did a little lot.
A little lot,
He even got into team, and I see he's back out here again today. Jaylon Smith at least is out here in helmet and pads, so that's a good sign.
He did a little something yesterday.
Just a little individual stuff, right?
Yeah, which is good.
And he's back out here again today, so that's a good sign. Cedric Wilson was out of concussion protocol. It looked like, Brian, you said he got hit again.
Yeah, yesterday, and we need to see him if he's back out on the field. I believe
that's
he
him
is.
running a route
yeah,
right now.
Yeah, it is right now.
Yeah.
But he ran a route and got hit in the side of the head, and it was a slight hit, just a bump. And then I saw him put both hands up to his helmet, and so I was thinking, oh no, please don't be one of those reoccurrence where all of a sudden a slight bump gets you back in protocol. But he's out there practicing right now, so that's a good thing. Any update, guys, and I haven't done this, and the folks on Periscope are asking about Zach Martin. I haven't heard any setbacks or anything. That seems like to me a very much of a rest and then try and get him ready to go.
Last time I checked in training camp, he was getting better.
Right.
And they didn't want to do anything to
jeopardize
cause that
and
regress back to where you were.
Right.
It's a bulging disc. They started calling it a disc irritation. Well, it was very irritated, by the way. So they're looking at him as get ready for the season opener. When you talk to him, he says, oh, I'll be ready, no problem. But that's the one injury that would bother me as someone watching what's going on, because as some of us know, those discs can be really problematic.
I'm dealing with two of them right now. That's why I wasn't on the trip to Hawaii. Not that anybody cares. We're worried about Zach Martin. And, because of the position more than anything that he plays and the torque that he has to put on his body against 300-pound guys, play in, play out. Jaylon Smith, too, because of his history with back. It's just something you have to watch. So I think it's bubble wrap city, right? Get ready for week one.
It has to be. And, and I think that's the thing when those injuries, to me personally, I feel better about them playing without Byron Jones than I do them playing without Zach Martin. So whatever, the cornerback.
Because of the depth.
Because of the depth and the way that we've seen these cornerbacks play this year in training camp, that gives me hope that, hey, they're going to be pretty deep there. Now, again, I knock on wood as I say that, hope nothing happens to any of those guys out there. But I feel better about, okay, if you told me that Byron Jones is probably a couple of weeks away, a game or two away, I feel better about that than I do if you said, okay, I'm going to have to play without Zach Martin or Jaylon Smith for a couple of games.
And with Byron Jones, he's on the way back.
Right.
He's on the way mending, and he's in a race, Brian, as you said.
Right.
Get ready for that opener. And I was almost, after I talked to him a week or so ago, I was like, nah, I don't think he's going to make it. And then when I asked around, it was like, no, don't overreact.
Yeah.
He goes, he's closer than you think. We just don't see his rehab that he does. He does it on a different schedule.
Right.
I would imagine those guys are outside right now doing their rehab. So they haven't given up on the possibility of him returning. And then they got to take care of, and we know about Robert Quinn, right?
Right.
They thought he'd be ready to play that opener, but with a 2-game suspension, so he'll definitely be ready. And now sort of got to worry about the two tight ends getting back out here, Blake Jarwin and Dalton Schultz, because Jarwin was having a very good training camp, I thought.
Yes.
And he was challenging, I thought, nothing against Jason Witten, but he was challenging for some snaps.
Oh, no, absolutely right.
And especially I liked the way those two tight end formations were working with him and his ability to get down the field. I saw Jeff Heath out here. He's kind of returned to practice. Mike Jackson doesn't look like he's going to be doing much.
And that's a guy I really want to see.
Right.
Because, we talk about young guys. He's running out of time unless they're reserving a spot for him, but there's a lot of competition at that spot. So can he get back and compete in these last couple games?
I'll tell you what, Mickey gave you a nugget yesterday, and we were talking about that, about Noah Brown and the PUP stuff and just staying on it through the 6 games. Talk to some folks. Mickey's right down the path. That's something that they're thinking about. So these receiver battles, you talk about Jackson not having enough time. We've seen some of these receivers kind of go by the wayside, but Yeah, that's where these corners. I think it's such a deep position, and Mike Jackson that you can't carry. I think there's a couple of guys. Mickey said there's a couple of guys you're going to probably carry. You're probably going to carry the guard, and you're probably going to carry the linebacker, Luke Gifford.
Right,
would be the two guys they're going to carry, and then there's no room left at the end for anybody else. If they're going to carry a hurt guy or two. Mickey's been very adamant about that, and I think he's absolutely right about that.
Well, you could talk to Mickey.
Always do.
Attaboy, Bill.
Always do.
Yep.
All right, anything else you guys are looking at for this practice that you saw yesterday that maybe you want to see carry over?
I want to see the kicker hit 6 of 6 again.
Yeah, that was a good thing.
7 of 7.
7 of 7 because I was just talking about at the end there.
Yeah.
So that was a good sign. Now come in here and do it again, especially. They ought to grind him on the 30-yarders because he's pretty good 50. He's good at 49. And what I've noticed they're doing now, they're putting them in different spots.
Right.
So it's not all, okay, let's
right
compensate.
Half, yeah.
Let's put them on that left hash because the ball goes right all the time. And by the way, so they've got the little black tape out there on the yard lines. Are those the NFL hashes?
Those are NFL hashes.
And the other ones are high school, right?
Yeah, these are high school hashes, collegiate hashes right here.
That's what I thought. Okay. I wanted to clarify that.
Yeah.
And they also have just a very, if you're watching and you see a line going through the numbers between the 40 and the 40, that's for the wide receivers to line up.
That's right.
And you
know about your width and your depth.
And you hope they know that those aren't there during the game because I heard someone ask that question, where's the red line?
Yeah, exactly. I tell you what.
Ought to be young.
I tell you what I'm looking for here today, guys, is the great thing about the Oxnard practices is you actually saw creativity with Kellen Moore. You saw things that he was tinkering with. Yesterday, he moves the pocket with Dak Prescott. He throws the ball all the way across the field, on a route to Tavon Austin. These are things that you haven't seen in the games. And if you're out here watching, or you happen to watching the next show, and you see something like that, there are things that he's doing to try and get his players the ball, put them in best position to make plays. And I think that's where. I think that's where people have missed the boat on Tavon Austin. I do, and maybe Sean McVay, maybe Sean McVay said, he's banged up the wrist and all that. I don't have time to deal with it. But I think Kellen Moore is accepting that. Okay, I've got this weapon that I could use. Find ways to get into football. I think he's done a great job of trying to get Randall Cobb the ball, with these young receivers the ball. There's various ways to do this. So if you're out here at practice, you're probably going to see a lot more than what you would see at the game as far as creativity from Kellen Moore.
Okay, Cowboys continue going through their individual portion of practice. Let's take our final break. We come back. Hit us up on Periscope. Brian's got it live, and we'll get to some of your questions next on Talkin' Cowboys.
It can be hard to find the right resource for learning about important financial matters. You search how to build savings, you end up reading about the one weird ingredient from supermarkets that can make you taller. That's why Bank of America built BetterMoneyHabits.com, a safe little corner of the internet for answering your financial questions. Full of simple videos and tips, Better Money Habits can show you how to make the most of your money without resorting to random searches that always seem to lead to unbelievable photos of childhood stars grown up. To learn more, visit BetterMoneyHabits.com.
It's time for tailgating with the OtterBox boys.
The OtterBox that builds those crazy protective phone cases?
Yup, and now they're changing the side dish game with the OtterBox Trooper Soft Cooler. Lightweight, mobile, and leak-proof, Trooper is perfect for blitzing a crowded parking lot with a Frito pie.
Amazing. Hey, you think I could fit my 7-layer salmon salad into the Trooper cooler?
Yup, but please don't.
And that's been Tailgating with the OtterBox boys. Learn more about the Trooper Soft Coolers at OtterBox.com.
While a player can look good on paper, it's when he's out on the field that you really find out what he's made of. That's why the Cowboys rely on more than just stats and scouting reports when building their team. When picking a tractor, it's why you should rely on more than just specs and features. You've got to take it out and put it to the test. The Cowboys did when they named John Deere their official tractor. Experience one for yourself. Visit myjohndeeredealer.com/football.
Dr. Pepper is the one you crave. But how do you explain that craving? Imagine a surging river of ice-cold Dr. Pepper, roaring with carbonated mists of desire. You're dangling above it, upside down, like a fishing lure in the wind. 23 flavors tickle your nose, but the river is too far away to taste. Dr. Pepper calls to you. You. Now that is a Dr. Pepper craving. Dr. Pepper, the one you crave.
Want to use what the pros use? How about the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black? Right now, you can get the Jack Black Starter, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The starter includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites, plus a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Go to getjackblack.com/Cowboys and use the code word TEAMJB. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys. The Jack Black Starter, $10, free shipping.
Back to Talkin' Cowboys.
You know what? When it comes to Jack Black, I can trump Shannon's special there, because this week's special at Jack Black is called Pick 5 for the Road. You get 5 free deluxe-size, travel-friendly samples with your $65 portion, and you guys know all the different things they have, like Pure Clean Daily Facial Cleanser, Oil Control Toner, and how about this one? Deep Dive Glycolic Facial Cleanser.
Man, you nailed that one.
So you can, there's a whole bunch of things that you can pick. All you have to do is go to getjackblack.com for the rest of this week, and if you purchase $65 more of product, you can pick any 5 of their other products that they have.
Did you phonetically spell
that?
that?
I did. I wanted to make sure you guys
That's
did
how
not,
you got it right.
You
I was
guys
impressed,
did
man.
not have a chance to make fun of me.
Have a great Wednesday.
Go to getjackblack.com.
All right, Brian, what's cooking on Periscope?
Yeah, Periscope would like to know, who is a guy that you would hate to lose the most if they didn't make the roster? Again, there's 2 games left, there's practices left, but is there a guy you've kind of had in your mind that you said, you know what, he has shown me enough. If you put him on waivers, there's a chance we lose him, or we're going to miss the opportunity to get him on a practice squad. Is there a guy you have in mind that kind of bothers you that way?
I got a couple, one on offense, one on defense. Cedric Wilson has been, when he's been healthy, he's been as consistent to me as Devin Smith among those young guys trying to make it through. I've been a big John V. Johnson guy. I still love his talent, but based on consistency, Cedric Wilson's a guy that, man, you left him out there on waivers, you don't know if you get him back maybe. Jaylon Jelks is another guy for me. He's flashed some. Haven't seen a ton of production in the preseason games, but he's a draft pick and a guy that's got a lot of pass rushing potential. He's kind of a unique guy with his skill set. Those are 2 for me that stand out.
I would think any 3 of those young wide receivers, because at this point right now, I don't know that they're going to make it. John V. Johnson, Jalen Guyton, or Reggie Davis, who just zipped down the field returning a kickoff. And then there's going to be at least one of those running backs, right? 2 of those running backs.
Jordan Chun.
Chun or Weber, they're not going to make the team. And you would hate to lose those guys, I think. But again, you only can keep 53, and then everybody's can take pot luck on the other guys. And then maybe, the guy you guys were talking about earlier, Phillips, I think it's a neat story.
Justin Phillips.
I just don't know.
I asked Garrett about it this morning.
There's not room for him, but boy, I think he's a potential guy down the road, right?
I think, there's a couple. I agree with you about the running backs because I think there's something there with the guys. I think Chun has actually been better than Weber, me personally.
I think you're right.
And
in what ways? Because people have been asking about those 2 specifically. We hear so much about Tony Pollard.
Yeah, I think with Chun, the how he physically looks, the size, he's a guy to me that you could pound him inside. He could take it on the edge. He's not going to be the quick, fast guy like Weber will be, the shifty guy. But I like the physicality which he runs the football. I think he could be a better Rod Smith.
I was just thinking based off of his frame.
A better, and maybe you could develop him into a special teams player. And he catches the ball well. He blocks. He's willing to do that. So I'm kind of on board with that. My guy on defense, and I don't know if he's going to make this team, but Donovan Olumba is a guy that if it's close, I would hate to lose Donovan Olumba. I think somebody would watch the tape and see him making plays and say, you know what, this guy's worth a shot. This guy is worth – probably a team that knows that Chris Richard can coach a little bit And you see these guys, all these corners are making plays. The safeties are making plays too. So maybe a team's looking at just saying, okay, we need an extra corner. And, yeah, can he run great? No. But is he physical? Does he do what he has to do in coverage? Does he knock the ball down? He absolutely does. I think I'd feel bad about losing him. And Justin Phillips would be another guy, too, like Mickey said.
And to amplify what you said about Chun, they had him playing special teams against the Rams, and he went down and made a tackle. I think he had 2 special teams tackle, and he had another play down there that he kind of blew up the return. So he does have those qualities. Like you said about Olumba, I think the feeling is out there is that his speed might catch up with him.
The lack of speed,
when he
he
starts going up against the top flight receivers.
I loved what he said to us in camp, that how often do you hear a pro athlete say, I know my limitations. I'm not the best athlete in the world.
He's honest.
And he said the game is played above the neck, and it's about anticipation and knowing your receiver, knowing your assignment, and to try to mask some of that. So I don't know. I think he's a guy. He's a pet cat of Chris Richard.
I heard Jason
and he played
Garrett
well the other night.
I heard Jason Garrett kind of complimenting him on just what you said. He knows his limitations, and he knows how to defeat his limitations, like make up for them. And he goes, and every really good player knows their limitations. And then I left when somebody asked the question, well, who was the perfect player that didn't have limitations? It's like, okay, we're getting a little too esoteric here.
Oh, yeah, you used that word yesterday with us.
Everybody's got limit. Michael Irvin had limitations.
You're using big words today.
Well, I'm just trying to let everybody know what, sometimes gets asked.
What else you got, Brian?
I'm looking right now as we speak. They're kind of talking. They feel like that the next guy that and this is off the Periscope, of course, and thank you everybody out there who's hanging out with us there. They feel like the next guy that they could kind of maybe get this type of deal, this Smith type of a deal, would be with Malik Collins. Does Malik Collins' injury history does it give you pause?
Well, no, here's what you have to ask. Does it give somebody else pause in free agency?
Right.
And
how much is that? Yeah,
can you project it?
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
What is somebody else thinking about this guy? Because a little bit, yes, it would, but it wouldn't stop me from offering him a reasonable contract with some protection in there. Right. Because you know what? This Jaylon Smith contract, they can do it 3 years, $35 million, and get out for like $6 million in dead money if it gets to a point where we can't afford this anymore. Yeah. So when you say, like I keep telling you, just look at the guaranteed money, and his guaranteed money's $35 million.
Rob, if I get one more from you, one more. I think this is there any position that the team might be looking at from outside of their own group? I mean, is there a position that you say, oh, maybe it's offensive line, maybe it's a running back? I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there.
That's a great question because I think we always have an answer to that question in camp.
Yeah.
And right now, maybe it's just the depth of this roster. I don't look at one position and say, gosh, they're really hurting here. The only reason they're hurting right now is a spot like tight end where it's like, okay, they got injuries.
Yeah.
But I don't – it doesn't sound like –
they're going to carry three, right?
Yeah, and it doesn't sound like anything's really serious with Schultz or Jarwin. Maybe offensive line just because it's such a rich position. It's a premium position.
Yeah.
But they like some of their veteran depth they have behind the starters. We talked about Suafilo before. I don't know if anyone really jumps out at me this year.
I don't know that you would go out there right now and find an offensive lineman better than their 3 main backups right now.
The veteran guys, right?
Yeah, they're so hard to find,
right?
No,
there's no question.
I mean, the example I always used, if you watched any of that AAF football, the biggest problem they had is they didn't have enough offensive linemen.
Yeah, people are saying they would go look for a quarterback.
But what are you going to find?
No, I mean, I think Cooper Rush has solidified his spot.
I think he's played well, and we got that mailbag question today.
Absolutely.
Do you feel better?
Yeah.
If something were to happen to Dak, do you think he could drive the bus for a few games?
And my answer to that before has been the kicker, but I've been told that, there's just nothing out there right now.
Yeah.
And so, and amplified by what Minnesota had to do to bring in another kicker to challenge Dan Bailey, they gave up a 5th-round draft choice.
Yeah.
Now, how many teams have a guy like that that's expendable?
I wasn't thinking kicker, but he is kicking well right now.
Yes. And the other question I got answered was, no, we're not bringing in anybody for tryouts just yet.
Yeah. That was something, I thought that they would.
I thought so, too.
I thought they would at least look at a couple guys. This is a great one of my favorite drills that Rod Marinelli does, the bag drill. You could see some power. Well, here's Sean Lee on the drop as we focus in on a little practice. So look at
moving
Sean
well.
Lee. Yeah, moving well. He's always. I'll tell you what, nice play by Sean Lee yesterday. You talk about him playing the Sam linebacker, playing the point of attack, taking on a blocker inside shoulder and forcing everything into the inside. Then you got guys like Leighton Vander Esch and Jaylon Smith running to the football right there. So those are the kinds of things I think that you need to see from that you're happy to see from Sean Lee, and the things that he could bring to the game of affecting the way that they play. Here we go.
I wish they could show Malik Collins doing this drill.
That's Jalen Jelks, number 74.
For a guy
here he goes. Here's Malik
Collins.
Here he is.
Come on, let's go, Malik.
Look at that wind up right there. Boom. Oh, look at the dip. Low man dip right there. That's
right on cue, right?
Yeah, Mickey wanted, Mickey got. There you go.
I'm done now. That's good.
That's Daniel Ross right there. And there's your linebacker, Justin Phillips right there, number 44. He's done a nice job.
He has done a nice job. One more thing about Malik. Lindsey interviewed him on the sideline the other night, and he mentioned foot problems, that he's had foot problems in the past. It's really the only thing. If he can stay healthy, I think the guy's got a shot to be a Pro Bowler this year. I really do. Now, I'm not thinking about the other guys that he'd be competing with in the NFC, but he's got that type of ability.
Yeah. No, absolutely. The only thing that's ever gotten in his way, not the guy across the line, but his injury situation.
That's true.
All right, let's wrap it up. We got the break coming up next. Great job by you guys. Stay tuned for some team stuff, some fun stuff.
So we don't get no team.
No, that's okay.
I led with this, Mickey. I knew exactly where we were going.
And it happened again.
We're the appetizer for the main course here. Appreciate you guys joining us.
I'm kind of hungry right now anyway.
Me too. Stay tuned for the break next.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys?